Namaskar. This is a look at what is coming in the next 6 months in terms of banking, your deposits, your future, as a matter of fact. Will you be able to safeguard your deposits just sitting in the bank? I mean, what I'm trying to say is that you have money in fixed deposits, you have money in money market accounts, you have money in savings accounts, checking accounts. Is there a way the government can take away your money even though you are not giving it permission? A lot of questions are going to be asked in the next few months as we transition to some newer standards, and that could really turn some of the people's lives upside down. Uh, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to tell you that a lot of things are happening that perhaps you are not aware of. It's my duty to tell you that these are all the things, these are all the changes that are coming about, and just to try and caution you about where to go and what to do. Here we go. Three events are happening in the next few months that might really change banking forever. First of all, we saw some of the banks, such as the Silicon Valley Bank or the Signature Bank, fail because of they said that it was because the interest rates were being driven up very fast by the Federal Reserve, and that's what caused the failure. I mean, there's the other school of thought that said that, the Federal Reserve said that they would be raising interest only at 0.5% at a shot, but then suddenly after 3 or 4 0.5s, they made a 0.75, and that threw up the whole order into a big disorder. Evidently, problems at SVB were visible even a year back, but the regulators did nothing about it. But that is an investigation that's going to take on a life of its own, and that will get beaten to death. But I think what's over is over. Are all the other banks safe? Well, this question and many others will come to your mind as we see what is happening down the pipeline. The United States is also readying its version of CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. Now, CBDC is also used as central bank digital currencies. So it's a loose term depending on whether you're having one currency or more than one currency. We all talked about the digital RMB that China guarantees against gold, and India has its own version called digital rupee. By the way, the digital rupee, I know for sure, is backed with a blockchain, and I'm told that the CBDC that America is going to introduce will also be on a blockchain. Why this is going to be important, we will know later, because you will see the advantages of this when I start talking about it in a little bit more detail. Here, it's just an introduction to you that there are lots of things that are about to change that might, increase your mortgages. It might, in fact, even decrease, although that's unlikely. Decrease your mortgages, maybe more volatility in your rates. Some adjustable rates may go up or down. In a month, this month you'll pay 1,700 for mortgage. Next month it might become 1,850 because some critical rate changed. So just be aware of some of these things that may come down the pipeline. Third one is there are $600 trillion worth of financial contracts between various parties across the world. Most of them were based on LIBOR, London Intra-Bank Offered Rate, and these have to transition to a new standard called SOFR. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why this is happening, because it's very important. Many of the contract, the underlying contract based on which your home loan may be set, could be doing this transition. And what are the effects of this transition? I'm going to show you. What is SOFR? Secured Overnight Financing Rate. And why was there an identified need for people to move away from Libor? There's a history behind this. Libor is calculated from the estimates of the rate that major London banks, only London banks, were charging each other for loans. For historical reasons, this rate had become widely adopted. So anybody, I have had some contract which were based on the Libor rate. So, just because it was something that was accepted around the world, people started using that as a reference for example, if you're renewing a contract after 12 months, you would say, well, the rise in, let's say, rent would be either the Libor rate or of that day or 3%, whichever is less. Something like that. Different conditions can be put. Now, what really happened was in 2012, it was revealed that the banks that were part of this Libor were rigging the rates. The panel banks that gave Libor estimates were collaborating together and submitting false data in order to profit more from trades. Big problem. These are some of the problems that is afflicting UK. In fact, this Libor to SOFR transition was to have taken place in 2021. It got deferred because many were not ready. Now they are saying by June 2023 it has to be done. I am told that only $10 trillion worth of transactions have been moved over to SOFR. So there is a long way to go. Maybe the can will get kicked down the road one more time, but it is going to happen, and I'll tell you why it is going to happen. Libor is rigged. So somebody has to come up with something better that's more transparent, that is more acceptable to everybody. That's where the SOFR is coming. The SOFR is based on actual transactions, meaning overnight transactions in the treasury repo market of the United States. Thus, SOFR is a more accurate means of measuring the cost of borrowing money. And because these are available publicly, you can go to websites to find out, it is more transparent. So how quickly will these $600 trillion worth of contracts transition from Libor to SOFR? That's a big question. This is like the Y2K, sort of. I mean, it's not that hard, except for one thing. The challenge is that if you look at the values of SOFR versus Libor, and this is in 2019, how the two have fluctuated over time, the Libor went from 2.8 down to 2.5, okay, 0.3, and a very gradual fall. Whereas the SOFR has been having sharp rises and falls. Therefore, SOFR is going to have more volatility. Now, how that volatility is going to be averaged out in your contract, that will depend on a contract to contract basis. I'm sure you'll be hearing from your loan company that because we are changing from Libor based to SOFR, then I don't know what's going to be told. Just brace yourself for it. That's all I wanted to tell at this point of time. Now, what are the digital currencies and why the need for digital currencies, especially in a country like US? What is the country's debt now? In trillions? Do you think the United States will ever make money that will cover that? No. So the whole banking system is getting ready for a reset, especially in the United States. How that reset is going to come, whether it is going to be again at the expense of the taxpayers' money, meaning that, oh, your balance of 50,000 is actually only 10,000 because we are appreciating the dollar by 5 times or something like that. I mean, these things happen in stocks. They'll do that to increase the value of per stock price and things like that. I don't know how this particular boom is going to be lowered on the unsuspecting public of United States. I don't mean to scare you. It could be a very seamless transition also. I have a feeling that it might not be that seamless, just looking at the fact that banks have started failing just because the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates a little too quickly. Now, next, very important and very interesting, a very noted blogger, tweeter, Balaji Srinivasan, has been saying that the United States is now actually confirming that Bitcoin is legal for a bit of time. Why? Because US has had many busts of in exchanges and things like that, which were trading in Bitcoins, and looks like they had built up a buffer. And they have a fair amount of Bitcoins, and I think looks like the US is essentially offloading some of their Bitcoins for a certain amount of price and basically offloading their positions. This could mean there's a small window in which you can trade Bitcoins with the blessings of the United States, but down the road it might completely ban Bitcoins altogether because it will have its own version of Bitcoin called the digital dollar. I'm just making this up. I have no idea if the name is going to be digital dollar, but looking at the other countries, their currencies, they're in digital rupee and digital RMB, it might be a digital dollar. What happens then? Well, what is expected is if the digital dollar is on a blockchain, then all the money that moves anywhere from any bank to any other bank can be traced by the United States. Well, it lends a big blow to people who are laundering money or trying to hide money or trying to evade taxes and so on and so forth. And what happens when you cross national boundaries? This is where something gets interesting. I don't know if that's going to be done in a way that it is very transparent for a US bank or US government to find out what happened to the money that left US shores and went into, say, India, whether how that money got distributed. It is possible. In fact, I was part of a company. I'm still part of that company, although we are not doing much right now, just having a bunch of patents that coming our way, is that you can have two different currencies riding on two different blockchains, and you can actually marry them and have a way to go back and forth so that the tracing can still be accomplished. It is possible, and a lot of algorithms have been developed for that, and we have a bunch of patents also applied in that. It's just a matter of mention here that I'm saying that that is a possibility, but this is needed. At the same time, it has to be done in a way that is as painless as possible. More on this in the future episodes, and thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click